talking about ways that you can store your produce so they last longer, you can enjoy them, and better for the environment. So I'm going to let you guys pop on. Tell me if you're here. I'm happy to be back doing some YouTubes for you guys. And I love this topic because usually there's one or two things everyone can learn from this, because sometimes we're just not using our refrigerator the right way, or we're just not storing our produce. So let's get to this. Say hi if you're popping on. Okay, so let's start with some staples. So we all have onions and potatoes at home, and these two items should be stored separately. There is a gas called ethylene gas that is produced by our produce. It's just a natural gas with no smell or anything, but it does ripen our fruit quicker. And some fruits are more sensitive than others, some vegetables are sensitive than others. And so onions and potatoes you want to store separately, and these should be stored in a dark, cool place, no moisture. So, you know, it could be in your pantry, it could be somewhere in the garage, under your sink, in a drawer, somewhere in your kitchen. So you definitely just want to store your onions and your potatoes separately, okay? Next is our tomatoes. Tomatoes should be actually stored on your countertop. I know a lot of times when I'm going to throw them in the refrigerator, but they do have a better taste if you keep them out on the counter, just to cool, away from moisture, away from sunlight, if you can do that. And what I typically do is I have a few baskets on my counter that I do separate the items. So tomatoes will taste better if you keep them on a counter, and if you don't want to have them on the counter and you put them in the refrigerator, they just don't taste as good. But you can also do that too. But that's one that tastes better on the counter. And let's see, garlic is a staple, right? We should all be having lots of garlic in our diet, lots of benefits. So with garlic, you want to keep the cloves together until you're ready to use it. So it will make the garlic last longer. You also want to keep it out of the refrigerator in a dark, cool spot as well. So find a place in your kitchen where you have space and that you can store some of your produce. And if you do buy, one more thing about garlic, if you buy it in a bag, you want to take it out of that bag and just, have it loose like that. Cucumbers. I love cucumbers, and I hope you do too. But those are just a vegetable that just gets so slimy so quickly, right? So what you want to do with cucumbers is to, when you get them, to wrap them in a paper towel. It could be also a kitchen towel. And kitchen towels or paper towels are really important when we're storing our produce, and I'm going to talk about that a lot. So when you cut a cucumber, I just tend to use all of it, which is super easy, especially if you're feeding a family. Don't save a cucumber because it just doesn't last. So when you get them, just wrap them in a paper towel, and you're going to store them in your vegetable drawer and in your refrigerator. And we'll be talking about the two drawers in your refrigerator, our crisper drawers. A lot of people don't use those correctly too. And those are just really a great tool to keep our produce fresh. So with cucumbers, wrap those in a paper towel or a kitchen towel. Grab some kitchen towels, maybe smaller ones. You can cut them in half as well. So use your kitchen towels, and it keeps the moisture off your vegetables. So those are cucumbers. The next one is your greens. So, your spinach, your kale, your lettuces. If you bring them home from the grocery store in a plastic bag, there's usually some water in there. You want to remove them from the bag, and then you want to wrap them again. So the most important thing is that we're trying to keep them away from moisture. So get a paper towel, get your greens, let's say it's your lettuce, and just wrap it up in here. And then you're going to put it in your vegetable drawer. Okay, so if you're buying spinach, for example, in a big plastic container, you can line that plastic container with some paper towel, and it will get some of that moisture away from the spinach. And you always want to make sure there's some holes so the moisture can come out. So that's your greens. Definitely use your paper towel or your kitchen towels. Okay. Broccoli and cauliflower, again, take them out of a plastic bag. You do want to wrap those up and put them in your vegetable drawer. Ginger, I don't have ginger with me today. I should have brought one. I always have ginger. So you have your little ginger, and what you want to do is put it in a plastic bag. I try not to use plastic, so a resealable bag, and keep it dry, and you're going to store that in the refrigerator. And then when you go to use a chunk off your ginger, you just want to wipe it and get whatever moisture is there off. So we're really trying to keep the moisture away, which is going to preserve your produce longer, and you'll be able to enjoy it longer. Okay? Berries. Who doesn't love good berries? But it's so frustrating when you go into your refrigerator and you find mold, right? Oh my gosh. So this is what we're going to do with our berries. When you buy berries, you come home with your groceries. If you buy berries, just know that you should eat those first during your week. Don't go and eat your apples and other produce first, because those are going to last longer. You definitely want to eat your berries the first few days. And that's one fruit. Your strawberries, your raspberries, your blueberries, blackberries. You don't want to wash those when you bring them home. So don't wash them. So let's say you're buying strawberries in the plastic container. What you can do is open it up and put a paper towel on the bottom and put the strawberries back on and put that in the refrigerator in your fruit crisper drawer. So that will help. If you see any moldy ones when you get home, definitely remove those. But again, eat your berries quickly first couple days after grocery shopping. Okay, so you can use those up, and I just hate throwing fruit away, and I'm sure you do too. So use those up. And then if you do, let's say it's just like it slipped your mind and you did not eat your berries. So if they're starting to get like, oh, I don't want to eat those because they're a little bit soft, throw those, wash them, throw them in the freezer in a plastic bag, and use those for a smoothie. I mean, when you blend them up in your blender, you don't care how fresh they were. They're still good if they're just getting soft in the refrigerator. So use those, freeze things. As soon as you see that they're not as fresh as you want, freeze them. A lot of fruits and vegetables can be frozen, and you can throw them in your smoothies. Just like spinach, if you see your fresh spinach wilting down and you're just like, oh, I don't want to eat that fresh, it doesn't look good in my salad. Throw that in the refrigerator and throw that in a smoothie. There's no need to waste. So those berries mold fast, so you eat up those berries first, okay? So we are going to move on to our citrus. Citruses are just so beautiful. Don't you just love to have a bowl of lemons, limes, oranges on your counter? So you definitely can do that. You don't want to stack them on top of each other. Just lay them nicely so they don't bruise. Another thing, when you're shopping for citrus, you want them to be heavy, so that means they have more juice, okay? If you're not going to use them right away, you can put these in your fruit drawer in the refrigerator. So that's your citrus. Okay, so if you are not going to use them, let's say within a day or two, they do dry out on your counter, so put those in the refrigerator. Your apples. Apples can stay fresh a long time, about 4 weeks if they're stored properly. What I like to do is also have your basket on your counter, and like out of sight, out of mind, but you're not going to eat them. So keep a basket on your counter. So you do grab a fruit, you're running out to work, grab that apple, grab that banana, whatever you have, and they will get eaten. So you can put a couple out on the basket and they will stay fresh. And then just grab those on when you go to work. But your rest of your apples, put those in your crisper drawer. And apples are one of those fruits that give off more ethylene gas than others, and so they will ripen other produce that are next to them. So you just have to be careful about that. Your stone fruits is the next one I was going to talk about, so your mangoes. So if you come home and you have some mangoes, plums, peaches that are hard and you want to ripen them, you can keep them out on your basket. And if they're next to apples, they will ripen a little quicker. But if you want to keep them harder for longer, definitely put those in your refrigerator, in your fruit drawer. Okay? Bananas. If you're going to be eating them, you know, one a day, or somebody in your family member, keep those on your basket so we remember to eat them. But if you don't want them to ripen quickly, you can also put those in the refrigerator. The outside peel just will turn dark, but it doesn't ripen the inside of the banana. So they might look ugly on the outside when you go to grab it out of the refrigerator. You'll be like, oh, that's a dark black banana, but actually on the inside is not as soft as you think it is. So you can do that if you bought a lot of bananas and didn't eat, and you don't want them to ripen, put them in the refrigerator. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those crisper drawers. So if you have a refrigerator that has the 2 crisper drawers, and sometimes they have a dial on them. So if you have that, let's use that properly to store our produce. So one you want to use for low humidity, and there should be a dial on there that shows you that, low to high. You want to set one on low humidity, and you want to set one on higher humidity. So the low is going to be for your fruits, and the high is going to be for your vegetables. And that will help remove the moisture. The air circulation is going to be different in those 2 different drawers, okay? So it's really going to help keep your produce staying fresh longer for you. Herbs, let's go to our herbs. We should be using lots of herbs. They add so much flavor to our cooking without having to add like salt. We can get lots of flavor from our herbs, but you might be like, oh my gosh, I never buy herbs, Mona, because they go wilt so fast. So this is a great tip for you. So I just use, old jars, but you can purchase really cute jars. Whatever you have, use even a cup, a glass cup, plastic cup. Fill it with water, wash your herbs, stick your herbs in this water. So this will keep it fresh. Then you're going to put it in your refrigerator. You can put it in the door, you can put it on the shelf, wherever you have space. One herb that doesn't do well in the refrigerator is your basil. So I love to buy a basil plant and just keep it like on my windowsill. Those are really nice. If you just buy basil, and then just do it like this, put it in some water, and then put it out on your counter. It will stay fresh. It doesn't do as well in the refrigerator. The leaves just turn really black. So that's a little tip for your herbs. So your cilantro, your parsley, whatever you get, put it in a jar. Okay? Let's see. One tip for your avocados. I love avocados. So if you buy a bag of avocados and you have a lot of them, let's say you buy a bag of 6, you want to store some on your basket. And then those you would use right away, and then the other ones you're going to store in the refrigerator, and they will last a long time. And to know if an avocado is ready to be eaten, the little top of it, that little piece, the little stem, will just fall right off. So you definitely want to use that when it is just falls right off. I wish I had one to show you. It's just one of those finicky fruits, you know, sometimes you go to the store and you come home and it's already black. So if you got to really watch your avocados. When it's ripe, you've got to eat it, and it's super easy to eat. You could throw it in a smoothie if you wanted for a healthy fat, to make a guacamole, put it on a sandwich, a salad. So don't let those go bad. That's a great healthy fat that we just got to use up really quickly. So there are some tips I wanted to tell you about for the avocado. I just lost my train of thought, but the drawer, keep those in the drawer if you don't want to use them right away. Keep them on the counter, the ones that you're going to use, or if you want them to ripen and they're super hard. If you put them, actually, if you take a hard avocado, this is a tip that I wanted to tell you. If you have a hard avocado and you're like, tomorrow's my party and I need to make this guacamole, but it's hard, put it in a brown lunch sack. Close it up and it ripens quicker. You can also put an apple in there that's going to give off some ethylene gas, will help ripen that avocado. So you can do that as well. So don't be fearful of those super hard ones. Sometimes it takes a day or two, but it just depends. Put them in that dark lunch brown paper bag and that will help ripen it. Okay, so asparagus, one of those greens that's in season right now. One tip that I found with asparagus, I don't put it in my drawer. What I do is I cut off the little ends at the bottom, and I do something similar with the jar. If you're not going to cook it right away and you want it to last, put it in a jar. So let's say it's standing about this tall. Maybe you're going to put it on your top refrigerator shelf. It will last longer. You can also put it in the door where you have maybe more space. And that door is a space where you don't want to store things that are sensitive. So you don't want to put like milk in there, because you're opening and closing your refrigerator. The door, that temperature really fluctuates greatly. So don't store like almond milk or homemade almond milk or any kind of milk, because it will go bad quickly. Make sure you store your milks up inside the refrigerator on the shelf. But for that asparagus, put it in some water and it will last you a long time in that door. Okay, so let's say you meal prepped and you cut up a bunch of carrots and celery for the week. You want some fresh vegetables at your fingertips. This is what you want to do, and this will keep them fresher and crispy longer for you. Just take a jar. This is probably a pasta jar that I had. And just cut them up, clean them, prep them, and put them in some water. Stick them in your refrigerator drawer, and they'll be ready for you anytime. You can take them to work. You can just, pull them out, have some dip, have a little snack. So that will keep these longer for you. Because carrots, they tend to dry out really quickly if you cut them up and you've prepped them, and you don't eat them right away. They do dry out. So definitely keep those in the water. Another tip, this is about our nuts and seeds. So healthy fats, we should all be having those at home, right? So with your nuts and seeds, they need to be in a dry place. So I do recommend putting your nuts and seeds in some jars again and keeping them in the refrigerator. They're going to be fresher, longer for you, and taste better. Nuts and seeds, they do go rancid quickly if they're out in hotter temperatures, and we have hot temperatures here, most of the year. So it's really important to keep those in the refrigerator if you have space. If you don't have space, you put them in your dark pantry. Just definitely use them up. You can't let those nuts sit there for a year, which you shouldn't be. You should be using those on a daily basis. So I don't think they're going to go bad on you. Okay, so let's see if I missed anything. Talked about those crisper drawers. That's really important to use if you have those dials. If you don't have the dials in the refrigerator, just use one drawer for your fruits and then one drawer for your vegetables. Wanted to see if there was any questions. I hope you guys got some tips. I think that is all that I have today for you. I hope you guys got a few tips and tricks to help you keep your produce lasting longer. It's super important and better for the environment as well. So that's it for today. I will be back on Friday, same time. I'm going to be doing a cooking demo on 6 ways that you can make a healthy pizza. So I hope you're around to join me in that cooking demo, and you can bring your kids to that. And if not, you can watch it anytime. So I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you guys on Friday. Thanks for joining.